All right. All right. Welcome back to the live show. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Welcome to the Genesis Show, or welcome back to the Genesis Show. It is currently 3:07 a.m. Yes, this is the darkest hour of the night, but I'm here. Okay, I'm here. And today is the 4th of July, 2025. Happy Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Independence Day to America. All right. We are blessed to live in the greatest creation called America. This is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. And I am blessed to be here. And I believe that every single one of us are blessed to be in this land, the land of the free and home of the brave. Okay, here we are, another episode of the OG, the 45th, now the 47th President of the United States. President Trump speaks at Salute to America celebration in Iowa. Okay, before we delve in, we know, or if you're not aware, the big, beautiful bill has been passed. Senate passed it, the House passed it. So now it's going to be signed by the commander in chief later today. Okay, so he's going to speak about that victory lap here in Iowa. And some people haven't seen or heard or read or heard what's in the bill. So if you are one of those people, you can go back to maybe the fourth or the fifth previous videos on the live section of my channel, and you can watch part one and part two. It is a two part and it is 15 plus hours in total. If you're willing to go through that educational process to learn what's on the bill, which I recommend every American to go listen to see what's actually to hear what's actually on the bill. Okay, because a lot of people are just criticizing the bill. Some people actually love the bill, but I don't know why they love it. So if you're one of those people, you should go listen to those parts. All right. With that being said, welcome back to the live show one more time. Happy Independence Day. Yes, doesn't matter if you are a conservative, liberal, independent, or Democrat, Republican, progressive, doesn't matter. What matters is you love this nation, you believe in the idea of America, and you are respectful in the comment section, and you're not being, you know, doing too much in the chat. So, with that being said, let's go straight into the speech he made in Iowa. Enjoy the show, ladies and gentlemen.
What a crowd. Well, I just want to say a very special hello to Iowa. We have had a good time together. We won so much here, we didn't know what to do. There was so much winning here. But we love Iowa, and we won all three times. So that's pretty good, and won by a lot, but I'm thrilled to be back in a state that I love, and I really do love it too, with thousands of proud, hardworking patriots at the world-famous Iowa State Fairgrounds. Thank you. Thank you. 18 months ago, the people of Iowa braved sub-zero temperatures. You remember that night? Oh, that was cold. It was cold, but we were warm inside because we won by a landslide to turn out the first-in-the-nation caucuses, and you delivered 98 out of 99 counties. What the hell county didn't? What's the name of that county? Let's get them out of here. 98 out of 99, that's not bad, Susie, I guess, right? We'll take that. But for President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, thank you very much, everybody. Then in November, we won Iowa by a landslide, 13 points, and it was the single largest presidential victory in your state's history. That's not bad. And now we're back where it all started to celebrate 5 months of incredible success for our nation and wish the Iowans and all Americans a very happy 4th of July. It's an honor to be with you. It's an honor. You know, a lot of people wanted us. When you're president, they want you. And if you're not president, they don't want you so much. But they really wanted us. And I said, nope, I'm going to Iowa because I promised I would go to Iowa. Sorry. I said, no way. There could be no better birthday present for America than the phenomenal victory we achieved just hours ago when Congress passed the one big, beautiful bill to make America great again. Right? And in the last election, the people gave us a historic mandate to cut taxes, raise take-home pay, bring back jobs, stop the invasion, that horrible invasion. Who would do that? Who would do that? That horrible, who would do that to us? Who would do that to us? Deport the illegals and slash hundreds of billions of dollars of waste and fraud, and that's what we're doing. With this bill, every major promise I made to the people of Iowa in 2024 became a promise kept. You know, they had a report today on some crazy fake station, but it wasn't fake in this regard. They said, you know, this guy actually did more than he promised. I did. And I have another hat back there. It says, Donald Trump was right about everything. And I said, no. No, that sounds a little too conceited, but it happens to be true, I must tell you. This bill includes the largest tax cut in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, the largest border security investment in American history, although I must tell you, if you saw last month, they had 0 people coming through our border, 0. I'm not sure that's even possible. You know, I'll take it, but somebody must have got to. The other character had hundreds of thousands of people every time. Sometimes in a day, they'd have over 100,000. We had 0, I don't know, for the month. So it must be a little wrong. Maybe they're 2 or 3 or something, but I'll take the 0. And the group that makes up those stats, you know, they're radical left Democrats, so it's probably true. We did a great job on the border. The largest welfare reforms and military upgrades in modern times, that's what we're doing. We rebuilt our military in 2016 in their first term. We rebuilt it. They gave some of it away to Afghanistan on the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. We remember that? We remember that? We don't have days like that. We have days like we just had in Iran. That's the kind of days we have. Complete obliteration. It turned out that was complete obliteration. Think of these guys flying way up in the air on a dark night, no moon, no nothing, and they hit every single target. It's the size of 1/2 a refrigerator door, a little size, 2 by 2. But this is a declaration of independence from a really national decline. We had a national decline. We were a laughing stock all over the world. We had a man as president who shouldn't have been there. You know that. Shouldn't have been there. But we really had independence now over If you look at it, the overtaxation, where we were being taxed out of our lives, independence from overregulation. We have independence now from radical left bureaucrats and independence from the largest alien invasion that I think any country has ever seen. We've never had anything like that. These people were fools. They allowed it to happen. You know, we've already cured inflation. Your gas prices are way down. Everything I said is done. But the one thing, it's hard. It's hard. Think of the time we spent on having murderers and gang members and prisoners from all over the world come into our country. We're getting them out fast, but it's a terrible thing what they've done to our country, and I hope you remember it, what they've done to our country, our beautiful country. 11,888 murderers came into our country, and some we've already gotten out, but it's terrible. Many of them, more than 50%, murdered more than one person. Can you believe it? And they let them come into our beautiful country. Just as I promised, we're making the Trump tax cuts permanent and delivering no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, right? Front row Joe. We got a lot of front row Joes here. That's very nice. Thank you. Thank you. And we have Mr. Wall. Someday I'm buying that suit, I'm telling you. I like that suit. I'll walk up one day, I'll be dressed like a Wall, just like you. I think he's come to about 200 rallies, and that means you like us. And I think he's a very successful guy, too, believe it or not. He's a top accountant. Can you believe this? And he comes to rallies, he likes the rallies. Front row Joes, they're all successful. But this is what they do for entertainment. But now it's not entertainment. We've saved our country. We've got the hottest country anywhere in the world, as said by many, many leaders of other countries. And we will ignite trillions of dollars in economic growth, increase take-home pay for the typical family by more than $10,000 a year. And very importantly for Iowa, this bill rescues over 2 million family farms from the so-called estate tax or the death tax. In other words, before Trump, you were losing farms to the banks. Before Trump, you were losing the farms like nobody's ever seen before. You love your children. You don't feel so well. You pass away. You leave everything to your children, and they have to pay a big estate tax or a death tax, as we call it. And they couldn't do it. They go out and borrow money, and all of a sudden the bank is foreclosing on the farm. Not going to happen. You have no more estate tax. You have no more death tax to pay. Now, that's if you love your children. If you don't love your children, it doesn't matter. Just forget about what I said. Not going to help you. But if you love them, or if you love somebody that you're leaving it to, think of that. No death tax, no estate tax, no going to the banks and borrowing from, in some cases, a fine banker, and in some cases, Shylocks and bad people. But they took away a lot of family. They destroyed a lot of families. But we did the opposite. So just remember, to me, it's so important. And it was mostly important for places like we're at right now. It's really, I'm so proud of it. At the same time, this bill cuts $1.5 trillion in spending. So wasteful spending is being cut by $1.5 trillion. And I got to tell you, I want to thank Republican congressmen and women, because what they did is incredible last night. And the Senate, the Republican Senate, we got, not with all of the things we did with the tax cuts and rebuilding our military, not one Democrat voted for us. And I think we use it in the campaign that's coming up, the midterms, because we got to beat them. But all of the things that we've given, and they wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that? So it's sort of, I really do, I hate them. I cannot stand them because I really believe they hate our country. You want to know the truth? But it kicks illegal aliens off of Medicaid and food stamps and allows us to hire 3,000 new Border Patrol agents and 10,000 new ICE agents, and they are great patriots, the Border Patrol and ICE, to carry out the largest deportation operation in the history of our country. And I don't like saying that. I don't like saying that, but we have a country. We have a country to run, and we have so many people coming in that shouldn't be here. And they did. They came in from prisons, and they came in from drugs and gangs and drug lords, the worst in the world. They came in from mental institutions. They emptied mental institutions into our wonderful country. And I know exactly what's going on in Iowa. You had some horrible crime in Iowa caused by illegal aliens, but we're getting them the hell out of here. We have no choice. And our great, big, beautiful bill, it will build the Golden Dome missile defense shield. We're going to have the best shield. And you saw that just the other day where the missiles are being shot down one after another. You know, they called me to tell me they have to take a shot at us. This was Iran, very respectful. That means they respect us. Because we dropped 14 bombs, they said, we'd like to take 14 shots at you. I said, go ahead, I understand. They said, where they'd do it. I said, good, we emptied out the fort. It was a beautiful military base in Qatar who treated us really fantastically well. And they said, sir, 1 o'clock, okay? I said, it was fine. We could make it later. And we had nobody but 4 gunners. We had 4, they call them gunners, and they shoot the Patriots. They shoot the missiles up. It's hard to believe.
Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke, the GOAT. God bless you. He says, Trump is vindicated and the liberal media is discredited. And that's a fact. And the fact that Hakeem Jeffries, this guy, spoke for what? For 8 hours. 8 hours, ladies and gentlemen. Almost 9 hours. For what? What are you saying for 9 hours? I guess he's campaigning to keep his minority leadership. But I mean, for 9 hours, almost 9 hours, what are you doing, bro? And the bill still passed. Bill still passed. Man, shout out to Dr. Luke, the GOAT. One more time, he said, Trump is vindicated and the liberal media is discredited. We all know they're fake news.
So all of a sudden, they said, we're ready. And they were a little nervous about doing it, I want to tell you. Can you imagine? They were nice enough. This is Iran, to call me and tell me that they would like to shoot me at 14 times. So they want to shoot us. And I said, go ahead. And they shot 14 high-grade, very fast missiles. Every single one of them was shot down routinely by these.
Shout out to Jet. Jet, God bless you for the super chat. God bless you, Jet. Jet says, happy birthday, America. Happy birthday to the United States, ladies and gentlemen. Happy birthday. It is July 4th, Independence Day. God is the greatest. America is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. So shout out to Jet. He says, happy birthday, America.
These 4 unbelievable gunmen. And they did their job, and that was the end of that. But the big thing was the attack on their nuclear facilities, what those people did. And you know, they're going to be in Washington tomorrow at the White House. We're going to be celebrating. We took not only the pilots, but the people that flew the other planes, but also the mechanics that had these planes going for 37 hours without a stop. You know, it was so far away, we had 52 tankers. Think of that, 52 that's loaded up with oil. I wouldn't want to fly one of those suckers over Iran. I say, what happens if they're shot at? Well, sir, that's a tough situation. It's not a pretty sight, but they were unbelievable. 52 tankers to load them up. They followed the planes in, and they never had to stop for fuel. They went 37 hours, actually. And how incredible. What equipment. What equipment. And you know, China, Russia, they were all watching. Everybody was watching. We have the greatest equipment anywhere in the world. We have the greatest people anywhere in the world. And we have the strongest military anywhere in the world. But we're going to fully modernize our air traffic control system and expand school choice and really so much more. By the way, the air traffic control, you probably don't have that problem here. You know, you have planes land like they. But in some congested areas, you saw what happened with the helicopter and the plane and a lot of other things. If we had great equipment, and we should have had, it was all set up to go, And then Biden canceled the order when he came in. But he canceled a lot of orders because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. There's a case would have never happened. Bells would have gone off. Whistles would have gone off. Everything would have gone off. It would have never happened. Very simply, the one big, beautiful bill would deliver the strongest border on earth, the strongest economy on earth, the strongest military on earth, and ensure the United States of America will remain the strongest country anywhere on this beautiful planet of ours. 165 days into the Trump administration, America is on a winning streak like, frankly, nobody's ever seen before in the history of the presidency. I said, they said, you know, sir, you're going to go down as one of the greatest presidents ever. I said, really? No, I said, really? I said, better than Washington? They said, yes, sir. I said, better than Honest Abe Lincoln? They said, yes, sir. I said, I like this guy that said that. That's a smart guy. He's up for a big promotion right now. But just a few months ago, our country was cold as ice. We were laughed at all over the world. We were laughed at. Think of it, a year ago, we were laughed at. We were a bunch of clowns. They were laughing at our president. They were laughing at everything having to do with our country. I was in Saudi Arabia. I was in Qatar. I was in UAE. Great leaders, strong, powerful, very rich leaders too, by the way. But great leaders, very smart people. And they said to me, the king of Saudi Arabia, but the three said the same thing essentially. They said, you know, a year ago, we thought your country was finished. We thought it was dead. Dead. Horrible word. Dead. And they were right. The country was close to death. And he said, and you know what? You've been in there. At that time, it was 4.5 months. It was a couple of months ago. He said, right now, you're in the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's no country in the world. You talked about all over the world. You got the hottest, smartest, sharpest country. And by the way, look at our stock market. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars on tariffs with no inflation. And today we just set another record, the highest stock market in history. No inflation. And one of the great economists from the Wharton School of Finance, where I happened to go, he apologized. He says, you know, I think Trump outsmarted us all. And yesterday was the poll, and out of 77 economists, I came in second. I want to find the guy that came in first. Somebody came in first. Can you believe it? But we said what was going to happen, and it's happening. And I'll tell you what, we had the greatest economy in history of my first term. This is going to blow it away. You watch. This is going to blow it away. For the first time in years, this 4th of July, the economy is roaring, incomes are soaring, wages are up, prices are down. Gasoline. You see what's going on with gasoline? It's way down. See what's going on with eggs? Eggs are way down, eggs. Remember I came in my first week, the fake news, those guys right there, look at all of them. Wow, wow. No, a lot of fake. No, but we like them. It just shows you, when you can get every story, 100% of the stories, no matter what you do that's good, they make it as bad as possible, and then you win in a landslide. There's something wrong. But the fake news hit me with eggs. Remember, first week, 4 days, eggs are through the roof. I said, I just got here. What's going on with eggs? Tell me. I didn't hear about it. They're up 5 times higher than they should be. They were going through the roof, but they were blaming me. I said, I just got here. And within 2 months, our great Secretary of Agriculture, who I think is with us tonight, Brooke, where's Brooke? Oh, look at you. Look, she is here. She flew all the way she comes from Texas, but I think she likes Iowa maybe even better. Look at her. You did a good job with groceries and with eggs. We'll tell you, it's true. They said, we have them this time, finally. It took an egg to get me, but that didn't happen either. Now they're down to a normal price, and people are ordering like crazy. But inflation is dead. 401ks and retirement accounts just hit an all-time record high. Did I hear what I think I heard? But we've achieved the lowest level of illegal border crossings in U.S. history, 0 illegals. Think of it, we had 0. And as I said, and I'll say it again, I love it because I have never seen any country suffer. No country has ever, don't worry, it's only fireworks, I hope. Famous last words. My famous last words, Trump said, "Don't worry, it's only fireworks." And yeah, you always have to think positive. I didn't like that sound either. You know? But last month, American-born workers gained 830,000 new jobs, a record. That's American-born. While the illegal aliens lost 340,000, and we don't want bad for them, but look, we have a country to run, and we want to have them come in, and we want to have them help our farmers. You know, you probably saw I got myself into a little trouble because I said, I don't want to take people away from the farmers. And we're going to do something I think that's going to be good because we want all the criminals out. Everybody agrees that we're finding the criminals, the murderers, the drug dealers. We're getting them the hell out of here. But the farmers, some of the farmers, many of you sitting right here, I have 4 friends right in the 5th row. But some of the farmers, you know, they've had people working for them for years. And we're going to do something. We're working with Christie. And we're going to do something that we're going to sort of put the farmers in charge. And if a farmer's been with one of these people that work so hard, they bend over all day. We don't have too many people can do that, but they work very hard and they know them very well. And some of the farmers are literally, you know, they cry when they see this happen. If a farmer is willing to vouch for these people, in some way, Christie, I think we're going to have to just say that's going to be good, right? You know, we're going to be good with it, because we don't want to do it where we take all of the workers off the farms. We want the farms to do great like they're doing right now. So Kristi Noem has done a fantastic job, and Tom Homan. And we're working on legislation right now. Susie, right? We're working on legislation right now where farmers, look, they know better. They work with them for years. You had cases where, not here, but just even over the years, where people have worked for on a farm for 14, 15 years, and they get thrown out pretty viciously, and we can't do it. We got to work with the farmers and people that have hotels and leisure properties too. We're going to work with them, and we're going to work very strong and smart, and we're going to put you in charge. We're going to make you responsible, and I think that that's going to make a lot of people happy. Now, serious radical right people, who I also happen to like a lot, they may not be quite as happy, but they'll understand, won't they? Do you think so? Madam Secretary, look at you with a white hat on. Do you think they'll understand that? You're the one that brought this whole situation up. Brooke Rollins brought it up, and she said, so we have a little problem. The farmers are losing a lot of people. And we figured it out, and we have some great stuff being written, and let the farmers be responsible. And then if the farmers don't do a good job, we'll throw them the hell out of the country. We'll let the illegals stay, and we'll throw the farmer the hell out, okay? Get ready, farmer, I'm telling you. But okay, so the fake news will write that. Donald Trump will throw farmers out of our country. They will write it. Because whenever I'm sarcastic, you know, when you can't be sarcastic as a politician. Well, if you're me, you can be if you're so I want to say I was only kidding. No, the fake news will write it. Donald Trump wants all farmers thrown the hell out of our country. The audience booed the hell out of him. There was no boo. No, they're fake news. That's why nobody watches them anymore. Violent crime is plummeting, and we're on track to reach the lowest murder rate ever recorded by the end of this year. It looks like we're doing way good. And that's knowing that we have a lot of people in the country that we didn't have in the country 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, we have a lot of people that they allowed into the country that are serious criminals. A lot of them are on their way out, however. Iran's nuclear enrichment has been obliterated. Remember when CNN said, it wasn't obliterated.
Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke, the GOAT, the GOAT. Shout out to Dr. Luke. He says, relax, Libs. Trump is way better than our favorite Democrat. 3.5 years will go by fast. Just know that every president after Trump will be measured by him. And that's going to be a big shoe to fill. It's going to be a big shoe because there's no way you can work this hard. And the GOAT is right. He said 3.5 years will go by so fast. Just know that every president after Trump will be measured by him. I mean, this is just what, 6 months into his presidency, and he's done what? So many things. He got NATO to go up to 5%, destroyed the facility, nuclear facility in Iran, got the big, beautiful bill to pass, secured the border before the bill was passed. Look, this guy, right? Look, yeah, this is the GOAT.
Was maybe damaged or damaged badly, but obliterated is too strong a word. No, it was obliterated. That's now been proven. The Atomic Energy Commissions, everything that's been obliterated.
Oh, I forgot. He got men out of women's sport. Okay. And now you have school choice. And also, Planned Parenthood, because I know a lot of ladies don't like to hear that. Planned Parenthood is being defunded.
And they were trying to demean me by saying that, but they were really demeaning those great pilots and people and mechanics that got those planes over there and were able to shoot from high up in the air going very, very fast with potentially a lot of things being shot at them and hit every single one, every single. They're trying to demean me, but to me they were demeaning them. And they got out of the plane and they said, what the hell? We hit every single target. They know better than anybody. But now that's been proven. It's CNN fake news and scammers that work for them, scam writers that work for them. But we understand it and we fight it back. And a lot of people said, sir, don't criticize it because they're beneath you. No, they're not beneath me. Nobody's beneath. You got to put it. Otherwise, people don't understand. If you don't say something about it, you got to say it. These people did one of the greatest military hits and maneuvers in the history of our country, and I want them to be appreciated for it. So they're coming to the White House tomorrow night, and I'm signing the bill with the Speaker of the House. And by the way, Mike Johnson did a great job. John Thune did a great job. Everybody. This whole 2 weeks has been incredible, hasn't it? You know, when you think of all of the victories, we stopped 5 nations from going to war, and somebody else will get the Nobel Peace Prize for their writing about Donald Trump. A professor at some school that you've never heard of has received the Nobel Prize for his writing about Donald Trump and what Donald Trump did. I'll say, what about me? I don't get it, but that's one of those things. But think of it, we stopped India and Pakistan, we stopped Kosovo and Serbia. They've been fighting for a long time. And a lot of it was trade. I said, you're not going to trade with us if you're going to go to war. And India, Pakistan was big, very big for a different reason. I mean, they have little things called nuclear weapons. You would have had pretty soon a nuclear war. We stopped that. In Africa, you look at what was going on in the Congo with Rwanda. That war was going on for 30 years. 30 years, and we stopped it, and it was vicious. 6 million people killed, and it was a bad one. It was killed and killed badly.
See, that is the thing with this man right here. It is so hard to keep up with everything he's done. I forgot to mention the Congo and Rwanda's situation that has been going on for 30 years. And there's like probably 5, 6 more that I can't. So hard to keep up with him. I guess, you know, he's learned a lot from 2016 to 2020. And he had a break where he got attacked for a long time. You know, now he came back. This season is going to be absolutely different because he's learned a lot. And the speed at which he's operating on is just out of this world. He's moving so fast, and America is going to benefit because this kind of leader is what we have been waiting for.
Machetes. A machete. You know what a machete is? You don't want to know. And we just did a really great job. And then, of course, you cap it off with the hit, the perfect hit in Iran, where they were talking awfully badly. You know, death to America, death to Israel. They were talking awfully badly, and they're not talking badly anymore, to be honest with you. And we might even meet with them and see if they want to meet. They want to meet, and we'll see if we can do something. But they want to meet. I think they want to meet very badly. But our allies have agreed to pay over $1 trillion a year for our defense. You saw what happened in NATO. In fact, we have our ambassador to NATO here. Where's our you know that guy? In Iowa, they know him. Big Matt Whitaker. We have Matt Whitaker from Iowa. I wasn't going to hire him, and then I said, Matt, you come from Iowa, don't you? Yes, sir, I do. Okay, you're hired. Anybody comes from Iowa, I hire. And every branch of the U.S. military is setting records for new enlistments. You know, remember a year ago, it was embarrassing. They couldn't get anybody to go into the military. They couldn't get anybody to go into the police or fire departments. They couldn't get anybody to go into government. And now we just set a record, a new record of enlistments in every single branch of the military and in all police forces. 1 year. 1 year ago, I remember saying to our great First Lady, I said, you know, First Lady, I call her First Lady because it makes me feel good. First Lady, isn't it terrible? You're saying good night, First Lady, my darling. Because it reminds me that I'm president. That's why.
Oh, God.
Now, I said, First Lady, it's terrible. Nobody wants to join our military force. And you know, that was very demeaning to the people that are in there, that have been in there for a long time doing a good job. And then all of a sudden, like, we get elected and there's a spirit in the country and we start doing well. We have victory after victory in so many different things, especially economically. We're doing so good. We have hundreds of billions of dollars flowing in from other countries. We have plants being built all over. I mean, a little less here because you have enough with your farm. Oh, by the way, but I did get beef and I got ethanol into Europe. You saw that. You saw that. United Kingdom, they didn't want to do it. You know, they never took our beef and they never took our ethanol, and we said, got to do it, and they did, and they were great. We made a wonderful trade deal with them, but we're doing that all over. Is ethanol very important still for Iowa? Is it so? Yes? Anyway, so they're taking it in the United Kingdom, and beef, they never took it because they want to do their own. You know, they have a lot of farms and a lot of farmers, and they want to do their own, but they took it. And it's going to be great. You're going to do, I'll tell you what, the farmers here are going to do incredibly. Plus, we have tariffs on a lot of this stuff that was coming in and absolutely killing you, where they have different forms of vegetation coming in at prices that were very, very bad for you. And a lot of it comes in because they want to put you out of business, and then they want to raise the prices. And we're not letting that happen to.
Also, a lot of people don't know the information about the school choice on the bill. It is actually, school choice options include scholarship tax credit programs, open enrollment laws, which allows students to attend public schools other than their neighborhood school. Isn't that what you would want if you live in a low income community? If you live in the ghetto, okay, like most of us live in, if you live in a low income community, the schools around that community is definitely not going to be great. So you want to have the opportunity to move farther out to get better education for your kids. Why wouldn't you want that? It's on the bill, and yet you're screaming that that's a bad deal. It's not. Come on, man. This is an opportunity for low-income Americans that are living paycheck to paycheck, and that is a lot of Americans. That way, you can get the opportunity. Your kids can get the opportunity to have a better education. Come on, man.
The farmers into Iowa, to Nebraska and Wisconsin and all these other places that have been so great. And in breaking news just yesterday, we reached a historic trade agreement with Vietnam to open their markets to American exports with zero tariffs. They get zero tariffs. And you're going to be giving them vast amounts of farm product, including beef, pork, poultry, dairy, and pure Iowa ethanol. You're going to be given all of those products. And the fact is, I could go on, but the fact is really strong, and it's stronger than it's ever been, and stronger than I've ever seen. The golden age of America is upon us. This is a golden age. This is such a beautiful term, the golden age. And I couldn't have even said it in my first term. I'm telling you, this is going to blow the first term away, and we did great. We got great marks in the first term, and this is going to blow it away. This incredible national resurgence is happening just in time for one of the biggest events in the history of our country. Exactly 1 year from tomorrow, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of America's founding with a birthday party, the likes of which you have never seen before. 2 years ago, I came to Iowa and promised that the festivities would begin right here at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. And tonight, here I am, okay? Promises kept. Promises kept. It's an honor, too. It's an honor because you've been with me from the beginning. Thank you. Thank you very much. No, it is an honor. You've been with me from the beginning. It was without doubt. In fact, I had some moments when I said maybe they might not, fake stories were put out there like, I don't like corn. I don't like corn. I love corn. I just love, but they give you fake news. I said, do you think that's going to hurt me? And my numbers went up. No, I don't know. I can't figure you people out.
Oh, God.
This evening, we're officially launching America 250, an enormous year-long nationwide celebration of our heritage. It's really also a celebration of our flag, our great American flag, and our glorious American freedom. Did anybody see the beautiful flag I put up in front of the White House? Right? Everyone's liking it. Everyone's liking it. I actually put two up. I put one in the front and one in the back. I didn't want to go too crazy. I thought that would be enough. They're big. They're about as big as you can get. We're proud of it. We will be announcing many more details in the weeks to come, but there are just some of the things that we have planned. And I have to say, first, in honor of the wonderful tradition of fairgrounds like this one, this is a great fairground. As you know, I've been here before. We will be orchestrating what we're calling the Great American State Fair, and it will start right here in Iowa. Right? So we're starting it off in Iowa. Now we're starting it off at your great fairgrounds, and we're going to have a big crowd just like we do tonight. That's a big crowd. I can't even see the end of it. So thank you back there. I'd like to move the press back so they could see better. But the Great American State Fair will bring America 250 programming to fairgrounds across the country, culminating in a giant patriotic festival next summer on the National Mall, featuring exhibits from all 50 states, and all 50 states are excited, and I was excited. You know, when I did the 250, there was nothing I could do. It was 250, it was 250, so I can't say that was my baby. The country happened to be 250 years old, but what I did do is during my first term, I got the Olympics, and I got the great soccer, you know, that whole deal, right? We call it soccer, they call it football. I got them both. I got the Olympics. First, I got the Olympics, and I got it. I was president, and I said, you know, it's a shame. It's a shame. I got the World Cup, and I have the Olympics, and I did it. And you have no idea. President Obama didn't want to make a call to the Olympics. You know why? Because he went to Switzerland or wherever, and he said, you know, if a president goes to get the Olympics, you have to have a deal. You have to be chosen. He went there and he came in fourth, so he hated them, I guess. And he was unwilling to make a call, and they called me up. Democrats called me up, actually, from Los Angeles, and I said, I'll do it. I made the call, and I couldn't get the people off the phone because they were so starved for love, because nobody would call them from. Anyway, we made a deal. I got the Olympics. Then we got the World Cup with Johnny. We got the World Cup, and I got them both, and I looked at my people. I said, isn't it a shame? I got these two, but it wasn't in the next 4 years. It was right after that and the one after that. And I got the Olympics, I got the World Cup, and we also have 250, so it's a pretty wild term. But I got these two things that are incredible. Nobody else could have done it. I'm telling you, everybody wanted it. Nobody could have done it. And I said, and I won't be president because I'll be president for 4 more years, but it won't be. And then they cheated and rigged the election. They rigged. You know, they don't even turn off the cameras when I say that now because now they know it's true too. But they knew it was true before. Remember, the cameras used to immediately turn off. You see all those beautiful red lights go off. Now I can say whatever I want because they know it's true. But they knew it was true before. It's fake news. That's what they call it. But you know what? This term is much more consequential than if I had done it the more traditional way. This was slightly harder, believe me. It's slightly more dangerous because there are criminals on the other side that tried to put your president in jail and went after him, just like they do in third world countries. And we all beat him together. We beat him because our level of popularity was so high. And it was high because I explained the situation. When these thugs came around, I explained it to the people. And fortunately, I was able to be on a lot of television, I did whatever you had to do. I had to explain it. Then they say, wow, that's fake stuff. It was fake. They're a bunch of bad people, but we kicked their ass and we're going to continue to do well. And I appreciate it. And there was nobody more loyal than Mr. Kaufman, who's fantastic, and Iowa, and his son, who's maybe more fan. Where the hell is he? Stand up. Where's your boy? His son is better than him, I'm telling you. And he doesn't mind. I have a lot of fathers who would be very insulted if I said that, but they're bad people. He's a good guy. He's got a son who's fantastic. You know that. I think he's probably here someplace. Where is he? Oh, he's better looking than you, too. Good. Thank you. Great job. Nobody more loyal than the people of Iowa during that period of time when we had to show our stuff. But we just celebrated the 250th anniversary of the Army at Fort Bragg. You know, they changed the name, and we changed it back to Fort Bragg. The people of North Carolina came up. They said, sir, we want to really have the name of Fort Bragg back. Everybody was saying that. They kept calling it Fort Bragg. I changed it back. You know, these radical left lunatics changed the name of Fort Bragg. So we won World War II. We won World War I. We won other wars. We won everything from Fort Bragg and other places that we were also changing many of them back. And then we decided to change the name. Now, I tell people, you know, it's incredible. We're the only people. We win 2 world wars from a place, and then we say, let's change the name. So we changed it back, and the people are very happy in North Carolina right now. And we just celebrated because the 250 was for the Army, was 1 year earlier than which makes sense. You know, we had a little army, we did well, and now we have a nation. So it was 1 year earlier than the nation itself. And we had a beautiful parade in Washington, D.C. the other day. It was fantastic. You know, it was amazing because the weather was so overcast and it looked so bad. And a week before, they said, oh, it's going to rain. I said, oh, man, we're bringing all these Army tanks. We're bringing all these people, these men and women. They're going to march down Fifth Avenue or wherever. This is terrible. It's going to rain. And then on the day, we woke up. Rain is projected all night long, heavy. Oh, I'm saying I'll get my hair soaking wet. My hair's going to be soaking wet. I'll be crazy. I'll say, you know, this is terrible. It's going to rain 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The thing was at 8 in the evening, 1 o'clock. Rain is forecast at levels you haven't seen before. I said, oh, this is it. And so the generals called me, sir, we could change it, but this is the Army. We're sort of used to bad weather. I said, no, don't change it. I'll wear a raincoat, and I'll wear a big fat hat so I don't get totally drenched. I'll be okay. I'm such a tough cookie. And then what happens? We get there, and there's no rain, and we go 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of watching these great guys marching down Fifth Avenue. It never rained. And then I thought to myself, global warming, they're telling us what's going to happen in 250 years to our planet, but they can't tell us it's going to rain 3 hours before the event. In 250 years from now, the planet's going to burn up or freeze up. And you know, remember when they said, they called it global warming, then global cooling. They had all different things. Now they just changed it to climate change, because climate change you can't miss. How's it doing? Climate change every time. If it's cold, if it's hot, if it's rainy, if it's sunny, if it's too crazy, we have climate change. But think of it. They're telling you what's going to happen in 100 years. The oceans are going to rise 1/4 of an inch and everyone's going to be wiped out. No, you're going to have more oceanfront property if that happens. It's okay. Not the worst. And think of it, with all of the nuclear weapons. Remember Biden had always used to say, it's an existential threat. He loves the word existential. It's an existential threat. What is? I don't know, climate change. Remember that? Always, that's dangerous too, because they're going to take that sentence and they're going to say, he couldn't say existential. So you can't imitate people either. Remember I used to imitate Biden, couldn't get off the stage, and I'd walk into walls? And I called my wife, because it's always on television, and I said, how was it, baby? How good was that? We had 44,000 people. Nobody else could do it. I have to brag a little bit, you know, because what the hell? There's a little truth to that. But I brag a little bit. I say, how good was I? You were really good, but, you know, what happened? You couldn't find this. You couldn't get off the stage. I said, no, I was imitating Biden. No, well, that's not the way it showed up. They showed you hitting walls, bunking your head on walls. So even like the word existential, when I imitate him saying it, tonight it's going to be on CNN. He couldn't speak. He couldn't say the word. These are seriously sick people. But now, this fall, we're also going to be celebrating 250 birthdays of the United States Navy and the United States Marines. They're all good. And I'm a little prejudiced, and one of them is going to be really great. It's called Space Force, because that was my baby. Remember, they wanted to terminate it. First year of Biden's administration, they wanted to terminate Space Force, and the military wouldn't let them. And it's turned out to be one of the most important there is. I was very proud of that Space Force, and they're doing great. In addition, just as I promised 5 years ago tonight in my speech at Mount Rushmore, where a certain governor at that time, who's now our Homeland Security chief, Kristi Noem, stand up, Kristi. Now I don't have to introduce you later. You know, I hired Tom Homan for the border, and I said, Tom, I want you to give me who'd be the best to be the Secretary of Homeland Security, which is essentially his boss. He said, Kristi Noem, sir. I said, Kristi Noem? You gotta be kidding. She's a great person, she's smart, but I mean, is she tough enough? Sir, she's the toughest person around. I said, and she is. She's tough as hell. I've learned. I'll tell you, a lot of bad people have learned, and she's done a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you. But we're going to be officially opening the National Garden of American Heroes, a vast outdoor park featuring statues of the greatest Americans who ever lived. You know, they took down a lot of our statues. They took down statues of some of the greatest people that we've ever had living. I stopped them from taking down Thomas Jefferson. They wanted to take the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. They wanted to rip the hell out of the statue inside. You can imagine who they were going to put up. Let's get rid of Thomas Jefferson. So we stopped them. We signed a law. Do you remember that night? It was crazy. And they were marching toward the Jefferson Memorial, and I took out an old bill from 1909. And it was a bill that if you so much as touch, old, because today they don't do these things. They don't do it like they used to. Today you could never get it passed. It said if you so much as touch a monument or a statue, you go to jail for a 10-year period. No anything. So they were marching down there, and in the middle of their march, I gave a news conference. I said, anybody that touches, and I'm signing, immediately goes to jail for a 10-year period. That march broke up so quickly you've never seen. They said, it's a miracle. What happened? I signed a little bill that said you go to jail for a 10-year period. It was a great thing. It was an old bill that wasn't used. In fact, I don't know. I hope we don't have to use it again. But they're learning that, you know, we saved Los Angeles. If we didn't send in the National Guard, I would have sent it in the military if they needed it. But if we didn't send in the National Guard, Los Angeles would have been burned down to the ground, just like half of their houses were burned down to the ground because they didn't give water that they had plenty of. I'm pleased to report that the One Big Beautiful Bill includes full funding for those statues, and we're going to do statues to our greatest Americans, and we're going to let the people choose who they are. You better choose me. No, I'm only kidding. I should take myself out. I think I should take myself out, Susie. Our great Chief of Staff, the first woman chief of staff. Can you believe it? Susie Wiles, stand up, Susie. And that beautiful exterior, don't let it fool you. She's rough and tough. She got rated the most powerful woman anywhere in the world. She can take out a country with a mere phone call, which is true. Actually, it's very true in her case. And she's done a great job. We're doing okay, Susie? Looking good. We had a good 2 weeks, right? This had to be the best 2 weeks. Has anybody ever had a better 2 weeks than that? Next, to bring back our people together, through the power of sports, America 250 will also host a brand new, first-of-its-kind youth athletes. It's a competition known as the Patriot Games, and it features top high school athletes from all 50 states. It's going to be great. And this phenomenal patriotic sporting event will be nationally televised, and it will be led by our great Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., who's really doing it good. He's great, and he's a little different, right? We needed somebody different. You know, autism. You go back, I guess, 18 years, 10,000, think of this, out of 10,000 people, okay? 10,000 people, and I'll go a little different way. Right now, out of 10,000 people, 18 people they're safe. 18 people. We have a statistic on autism that's the worst I've ever seen, and he's going to change it. He's going to change it. It used to be 20 years ago, you just didn't have it. And now it's numbers that are unbelievable, where the numbers are so bad, it's got to be artificially induced, and we're going to find out what it is and when. We're going to find it out as soon as possible. I mean, you think about it, the numbers have increased by 200-fold, and that's really something, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. That's a terrible situation. Likewise, under the leadership of Secretary Burgum, who's here right now, he was a great governor of North Carolina. Great governor of North Dakota. Where is he? Where is he? Mr. Secretary. And he's in charge of energy plus a lot of land. He's the biggest landlord, I guess, in the world. But he was a great governor of North Dakota, and he was very special in so many ways. He became an energy expert, and he came to me, and I said, I want you to be the head of energy. He said, no, we have one man that's better than me, and that was Chris, right? And put him in charge, and we merged the two, and he's got all the land with all the oil, and the other one has all the expertise to get the oil out of the land. And Chris is doing great, and you're doing great, Doug, and I appreciate it. And say hello to Catherine and everybody. You're doing a great job. We have a great cabinet. So every one of our national park, battlefields, and historic sites are going to have special events in honor of America 250. And I even think we're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have, does anybody watch UFC, the great Dana White? We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight, think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little, we're not, Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. We're going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also. We're going to have some incredible events, some professional events, some amateur events, but the UFC fight's going to be a big deal too. And to fund improvements and enhanced experiences across the park system. For this anniversary, I've just signed an executive order to raise entrance fees for foreign tourists while keeping prices low for Americans, and we're going to do that. The national parks will be about America first. We're going to take it America first for the national parks. And these are just a few of the many programs, initiatives, celebrations that will renew for our national pride. We're going to have great pride. I think we do have great pride. I think we have more pride and more spirit in our country right now than we've had in 50 years. And together we're going to ensure that America's 250th anniversary is the single greatest year in the history of our country. We want to have a lot of great things, a lot of the things that Bobby and Health and Human Services are doing are going to come up during that period of time, and we're going to come up with a lot of tremendous things for health and safety, and economically we're going to have the strongest country anywhere in the world. And the bill that we just got approved today was, think of that, all of those votes, 2 negative votes, but we had no Democrats, 2 negative votes in the Republicans out of all that. So I want to thank those great Republicans that voted to get it in. You know, we could only lose 3. If we lost 3, trouble. Now, we didn't lose 3. We lost 2, and I'm sure if I needed the 2, I could have gotten them too. But we're pleased to be joined tonight by many friends who will help make that possible, including, and I introduced Doug Burgum already from North Dakota, and just a great. He was really one of the best. Was he a better governor than you? Would you say, Christy, was he better than you? I don't know. Because they were neighbors, you know. You had North Dakota, you had South Dakota. Brooke Rollins, thank you, Brooke. Great job. She's now the agricultural secretary. Kristi Noem, great governor also, but she's doing I don't know, this. Do you like this better than being governor? Don't say. Don't say. They love you in the state. Don't say. Maybe the most important guy in this whole place. You know, a lot of projects that stop using environmental stuff, a lot of projects that stop. They use it as a weapon, the radical left and others. They use it as a weapon. This man is the greatest. He's doing a job that's incredible. Doug would tell you that. Everybody will tell you that. Lee Zeldin. He's the head of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. He's the head of it. Great guy. He was a great politician, a tremendous congressman. He ran for governor of New York, which is tough. And he almost won. I'm glad he didn't win, actually. I wouldn't have you right now. And I said, Lee, a nuclear power plant, we give you 1 week to get me the approval. So, but he's been done great. And we have factories and we have plants all over the world right now, and they're being built and they're going up. Also, Governor Kim Reynolds from Iowa. Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And Lieutenant Governor Chris Corner. Where's Chris? Chris Corner. Thank you, Chris, very much. Great job. You have Senator Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst. Chuck! Hi, Chuck. Wow. That's great. He's doing great, too. He's got more energy than all of us. And where's Joni? Is Joni here? Hi, Joni. Very good. Good job. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Joni. And you have members of Congress, Ashley Hinson, Marionette Miller Meeks, Zach Nunn, Randy Feenstra. Good group. We flew in together, and boy, they were nice. They were so happy at that victory today, weren't you? Randy, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was great. We had a good flight. We have an ambassador who's been my friend for a long time, Monica Crowley. I heard her speak. I thought she did really well. Thank you, Monica. And you know Matt Whitaker, a man from Iowa, ambassador to NATO. We also had a person, I have to give her credit, Brenna Bird, Attorney General. She came out and she endorsed me very early, and I appreciate it. Where's Brenna? Hi, Brenna. She came out, she endorsed me. I said, thank you very much. Who the hell is that? She's great. Former State Senator Brad Zahn. Oh, my man, there he is. I haven't seen you. He was the first man in the entire country that endorsed me, right? Not just from Iowa. He endorsed me 3 months before I ran. He said, that guy from New York should run. So I want to thank you. Really great. You're looking good, too. He's like the Marlboro Man, you know? He looks like the Marlboro Man. Handsome guy. Iowa Speaker Pat Grassley. Pat, thank you very much, Pat. Good. Nice to see you, Pat. Iowa Senate Majority Leader Jack Whitver. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack. Iowa House Majority Leader-elect Bobby Kaufman. Thank you, Bobby. Great future. Great future. A friend of mine, Dan Newland, who's the most generous human being. He gives away. He hears somebody's in trouble. He hears somebody's in trouble and he goes wild, and he's just a very good guy. And Jeff Kaufman, the head of your party here, is so, come on, stand up, Jeff. You can stand up. Thank you, Jeff. Great job. And Jeff was with me right from the beginning. When I was complaining about things, I'd call him. He'd do it sometimes. He was better as I started winning, right? But Jeff has been great. He's a great leader. Thank you very much, Jeff, for being here. And I have to say that Lee Greenwood has been unbelievable. That song, where is Lee? Is he around here? That song, it's the hottest song of its kind. Number one of its kind. You know, it's a certain genre. But thank you, Lee, very much. Real great song and great talent. This Independence Day, let's also give a very special thanks to every veteran and military service member here tonight for their outstanding devotion to our country. And I also want to thank you, fellas. Stand up, fella. Look at them. They're in good shape. Thank you very much. Wow. That's a lot of veterans. Thank you very much. What an honor. I also want to thank the large group of Iowa pastors and faith leaders for their beautiful prayers, including Pastors Joshua Kent, Tammy Hall, Joseph Hall, Corrine Sturts, Maureen Prakash, Aji Prakash, Dan McCoy, Rose Kessler, Michael DeJong, Jose Rodriguez, and ministry leaders, Virginia Calligary, Sarah Kent, and thanks also to Bob Vanderplatz. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Stand up. You're the people we want to listen to. Stand up. Thank you. There they are. Look at that group. I want to be with them. They have the real power. They have more power than all of us. Thank you. You've been so good and so supportive. We were supported with the evangelicals, 89%. And we're looking for the other 11%. We don't believe it. As we prepare to celebrate 2.5 centuries of freedom, I'm inviting America's great religious communities to pray for our nation and for our people. From the beginning, this has always been a country sustained and strengthened by prayer. So important. If we bring religion back stronger, you're going to see everything get better and better and better. You're going to see it get better and better. So as we chart our course toward the next 250 years, let us rededicate ourselves to one nation under God. Right? And as you know, recently we've seen some of our political system attempting to overthrow the timeless American principles and other pillars of our liberty and replace them with some of the most noxious ideas in human history, ideas that have been proven false. Members of Congress and even former presidents have been openly embracing vile creeds such as socialism, Marxism, and straight-up communism. In New York, they're trying to elect a communist, Zoran Mamdani, the guy who wants to defund the police, take over the stores and run the stores, and have the people hand out goods. And when everything falls apart, it always does. It always works that way. It never has worked any other way. Anarchy and dictatorships prevail. This guy is a communist at the highest level, and he wants to destroy New York. I love New York, and we're not going to let him do that. Generations of Americans before us did not shed their blood only so that we could surrender our country to Marxist lunatics on the eve of our 250th year. As President of the United States, I'm proclaiming here and now that America is never going to be communist in any way, shape, form, and that includes New York City. And under my administration, we're bringing back freedom and liberty, law and order, and above all, we're bringing back common sense, right? Common sense. On day one, I stopped the weaponization of government against people of faith, and we created the Department of Justice Task Force combating anti-Christian bias. And I have to tell you, Pam Bondi is doing a great job. Pam Bondi is doing a great job. Attorney General. I ended the Green New Scam and terminated the insane, the electric vehicle mandate where everybody had to have a car that happened to be all electric in the next few short years. The mandate, some people want to have gasoline powered, some people want to have hybrids, maybe even someday hydrogen. Right now I don't like it because when they blow up, they don't ever find the body. They find the body about 5 blocks away. That does not sound promising to me. They said, no, it's getting better. I said, that's okay. Let somebody else use it. But we're not going to have all electric. We're going to have electric if people want it. Electric is great, but gasoline people like better in many cases. But you can have whatever you want. But it's ridiculous to mandate that everybody's going to be driving an electric car in 5 years from now. So I ended it. I signed an order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education and send education back to the states. That means Iowa's going to run their own education. You're going to have to run your own education. Iowa will, I use you in my thoughts. Whenever I always say Iowa and Indiana, and I'd mention certain states, but you want to run your own education because you don't want the bureaucrats in Washington doing it. And I made English the official language of our country. You would think that would be an easy one. It was not as easy as you think. I directed the reinstatement of all patriots expelled from our military by the Biden vaccine mandate, returning them to their former rank with full back pay. And I signed executive orders to abolish critical race theory and transgender insanity from our schools and from our military. And I made it official policy of the United States that there are only 2 genders, male and female. And if it's okay with Iowa, we are keeping men out of women's sports. Is that okay? I also renamed the Gulf of Mexico. I renamed it to the Gulf of America. And we're restoring the name of the greatest president, one of the truly great presidents, somebody that made our country very rich, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley in Alaska. So in conclusion, in everything we do, we're once again defending the values, traditions, and beliefs that made every generation before us so very proud to be American. You know that better than anybody in Iowa. And here in Iowa and across this land, we believe that America is an exceptional nation, blessed by God. It's really destined to be the freest, strongest, the greatest country ever to exist on the face of the earth. And we're going to make it that way much more so than it's ever been. We believe in the wisdom of our founders who declared that our rights do not come from bureaucrats in Washington. Our rights come from our Creator in heaven. That's where our rights come from. And we reject government discrimination and so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion mandates. They're just about washed out the window, actually. They're just about over with. We're just about finished. In this country, we believe in hard work and we believe in merit. And by the way, we're allowed to have merit. We're now back to being a merit-based system. We had a decision in the United States Supreme Court. Our country is now a country based on merit. We oppose censorship, price controls, open borders, and sex changes for children. We support our troops, respect our police, and salute the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol. We cherish our Constitution, and we defend free speech, free assembly, religious liberty, and the right to keep and bear arms, our Second Amendment. We take our pride in our heritage, and we want it in a beautiful heritage that we have, and we teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. You have to respect our flag. From Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Gettysburg to the Golden Gate Bridge, and from factories of Detroit to the fairgrounds of Des Moines, we stand.
Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke, the GOAT. Thank you for the super chat. He says, Trump has proven himself. Time to put the never Trumpers in timeout. Actually, I would say block them. Okay. So he says, you can come out and play with the others when you learn how to get along. Just saying. Dr. Luke is actually being modest. Okay. I'll say block him. Because come on, this is the president of the United States. This is the person representing the United States. Pray for him to make the right decisions. That's what you owe your leaders. You can criticize, but not every single thing he does. You can't even point to one good thing he's done, Democrats. Come on, man.
On the shoulders of heroes and legends who crossed the oceans, blazed the trails, tamed the wilderness, settled the continent, raised up those beautiful skyscrapers, and stood tall and defiant in the face of tyranny and death. From 1776 all the way through today, American patriots have won triumph after triumph. We've had victory after victory, and let nothing stand in the way of the USA, which we love so much. It was hardworking citizens like you who won our independence, secured our liberty, and built this country with courage, grit, and skill. And starting right here in Iowa, it's such a great place, and I hope you love it, but it's such a great place. You should love it. You should love it. You know, sometimes you take things for granted. This is one of the really great places, but I've been all over. It was hardworking citizens like you who saved our country in November 2024. Think of that, November 25th. Who would have thought there'd be this much of a change this fast? I didn't even think it would happen this fast. Happened at a level that nobody even thought possible. Again, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Today, with your help, America is free, America is proud, and America is sovereign once more. And this 4th of July, our magnificent destiny is closer than ever before. We are one people, one family, and one united American nation. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down. And we will never, ever, ever surrender. We will fight, fight, fight. We will win, 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 because we are Americans and our hearts bleed red, white, and blue. And together, as we look forward to the 250th year of American independence, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Iowa. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Legendary. Just legendary. This guy just worked so hard. Him and Mike Johnson, Senator Thune, all of these great Republicans, they worked so hard to pass the bill. And here he is in Iowa, still working, campaigning, because this right here is a victory lap. However, midterms are coming. This is still part of campaigning for midterms. You just got to give this guy his flowers, man. He's just always working. All right, here we go. Big, beautiful bill is passed. It's passed, ladies and gentlemen.
Kevin Hassett, the Director of National Economic Council of the United States. You obviously are here to respond to the critics as we do watch Hakeem Jeffries take to this lengthy speech on the House floor. How do you respond to his criticisms? I mean, one of his biggest points is that this bill will hurt the country fiscally. To that, you say what?
No, what I'm saying is that he's engaged right now in a truly senseless and futile effort to stop a bill that's going to pass. And by doing that, he's showing that he supports the biggest tax hike in history. He supports insecure borders. He supports basically putting millions and millions of people out of work because of the biggest tax hike in history. Talk about losing health insurance and deals with the devil. This position that the Democrats are taking is completely economically indefensible. And they haven't think about it this way. They haven't had one person vote for the bill. And so they're all on the record now saying, hey, you know what? Your overtime, I want to tax it. Your tips, I want to tax them. Your Social Security benefits, I want to tax them. Your border, I want it wide open. I just can't believe that the party has fallen so far away from the party that, Bill Clinton, back when he said the era of big government is over, well, now it's like the era of socialism has taken over the Democratic Party.
So is it your prediction at this hour, as we watch this ongoing speech, and lots of water to get him through it, that this will ultimately make it to the president's desk?
It's going to 100% make it to the president's desk. We expect that it'll pass today and that there'll be a big ceremony at the White House tomorrow.
Okay. So this was before. Well, the bill is passed. On to the next. Here we go. The 5. The 5.
The nays are 214.
Uh-oh.
The motion is adopted.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's a big, beautiful win for America. The House sending President Trump's big, beautiful bill to his desk, and he will sign it tomorrow at 5 p.m., just in time to meet his July 4th deadline. And right now, 47 is headed to Iowa to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Republicans celebrating with a thumbs up, while Democrats were throwing a hissy fit. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries posted a dopey photo of himself with a baseball bat before using the magic minute, wasting 8 hours and 44 minutes grandstanding on the floor to delay the bill, setting a record for saying absolutely nothing. Speaker Mike Johnson, however, taking to the floor after Jeffries struck out with a better use of the magic minute.
Ronald Reagan said one time that no speech should be longer than 20 minutes. And unlike the Democrat leader, I'm going to honor my colleague's time and be a little more brief than that. All right. It takes a lot longer to build a lie than to tell the simple truth. Too many wins. Are you tired of winning yet?
No. And here are the Democrats who are tired of all of the winning.
People in this country will die unnecessary deaths. That's unacceptable. That's unconscionable. That's un-American.
This is actually a sad and shameful way to celebrate the 4th of July.
I just can't emphasize how, I'm getting calls, and in the airports, people come up to me when they recognize me, and they're sobbing on my shoulder.
Our children, our children, our children. Let us vote no on this shameful bill and throw a punch for the children.
Wow, Joey, people are dying and we're throwing punches for children, according to Democrats.
It amazes me when and how Democrats care about children. And I'm not even talking about abortion. We've fought this idea of mutilating and castrating children for a couple of years now. And America's shown where they are on it. But now they're worried about children. I will tell you, in this big, beautiful bill, I have no idea how it's going to fare out as far as what it will cost us versus the revenue it'll bring in. That's an ideological fight that Republicans and Democrats have, honestly, and I appreciate that. But I'll tell you one thing about it, one thing nobody's talking about. For 91 years, there's been a $200 tax for guns that have a barrel under 16 inches and for suppressors. And the fact that this bill got through the House and the Senate, removing that tax down to zero, something that no one's been able to do in 100 years for red-blooded Americans that believe in the Second Amendment, it was a huge win.
So, Paul, there is a lot in this bill. There's a lot that Democrats voted against in this legislation. But whatever you have to say, in the first 6 months of President Trump's second term, he's already codified all of his campaign promises, essentially, in this piece of legislation. And Republicans, miraculously, for the most part, were able to stick together with these very slim margins that we've been talking about since last fall.
Yeah, he herded all of those cats. Look, you got to say at least one thing here, no matter where you stand politically, which is that Donald Trump is doing what he said he was going to do, which is a very rare thing in politics. I mean, let's just say that at the outset. We don't know exactly right. We don't know exactly how it's all going to shake out. But at the end of the day, this is the agenda. And now you'll see. First time around, remember something. You had unemployment down to 3.5%. Today, it's now approaching 4.1, right? So something is working, and we're going to get all this stuff coming in, and we're going to see. Here's who it's definitely a bad day for, though. It's definitely a bad day for freeloaders, because there's workfare. Now, this workfare is modeled almost exactly on the Bill Clinton workfare of a number of years ago, and yet they're all apoplectic over it. Shows you how the Democratic Party has changed. Men and women's sports. So the idea that you got a Y chromosome, you're going to go in and dominate the track team, that's over, right? You're not doing that to women. Bad day for illegals. The wall's funded, ICE is funded. Bad day for Iran and our other adversaries. The military is funded. But here's who it's really a bad day for. It's a bad day for moderate Republicans. And here's why I say, moderate Democrats. If you remember the first term, he had a chance, that is, Trump had a chance to make a deal with Democrats on DACA and the Dreamers. And I'm stealing this point from Dana. The thing is, this time around, Trump had to negotiate with Republicans to get this thing over the finish line. Wouldn't it be better if you're sitting with moderate Democrats to come in and say, we'll give you a couple of votes, but we want some sugar? He shouldn't have gone that. If he had gone that way, if they had come to him, they should have gone that way because they could have had a piece of the victory lap. Instead, they're all on the sidelines.
So, Leslie, someone who else decided to weigh in on this is the former president, Joe Biden, decided to pipe up with a post on X today saying that the Republican budget bill is not only reckless, it's cruel, that it slashes Medicaid and takes away health care from millions of Americans, meaning illegal immigrants. It closes rural hospitals and cuts food assistance for our veterans and seniors. It jacks up energy bills, et cetera. You know, Joe Biden campaigned on being a moderate and govern like a far left lunatic, essentially. And a lot of this bill takes back a number of things that he implemented during his term. And Democrats seem like they want to move on from him. And yet he's deciding to weigh in on this after Democrats didn't even decide to come together with the president, maybe work on some things together, given the president's popularity, decided to oppose it.
Yeah, because what my side of the aisle did is they listened to the American people. Only 30% support this bill, 50% don't. The constituencies of Democrats throughout the country, whether they're a House member or for the state in the Senate, don't support this. I'm going to talk about a bad day. Since you talk about a bad day, it's a bad day. It's a bad day. It's a bad day for 3 million children that are food reliant on SNAP. It's a bad day for over 25% of the nursing homes that will close. The people there, where do they go? Those families that need that help and the people that work in those communities. It's a bad day for the rural hospitals that'll close. It's a bad day for the city hospitals and the doctors and the nurses and the other medical staff that will be overburdened by those closures. I could go on and on and on. The reason Democrats didn't vote for this is because it's not good for the American people. And if you don't care about people and health and you only care about money, 4.1 up to 4.1 trillion it adds to the deficit. Who does that hurt? That hurts our children and our grandchildren because they're going to be stuck with that tab.
I find it interesting that Democrats now want to talk about deficits, but just in terms of the facts of the bill, there's a new $50 billion fund specifically for rural hospitals, which is how they got it out of the Senate and passed back to the House. Kat?
Well, listen, I'm always talking about deficits, all right? Rand Paul said he had concerns about this yesterday because of that reason. Thomas Massie's made similar comments. I happen to share those concerns. Obviously, I understand that the hope behind this is that the tax cuts would grow the economy and that would offset some of these losses. That requires some optimism. You might have that optimism. You might struggle to find that optimism. You're not alone if you do. I would also say that you're not alone if, excuse my language, you are just feeling so dang disillusioned by the whole system at this point. Because doesn't it seem so difficult to make any kind of real change in the way that things currently are? Because there's these big, massive bills and all this stuff gets thrown in there and we can't just do things one at a time because everybody wants their piece of this or that. And the word cruel, I do get so irritated with that because I really think you have to realize you probably know people in your life who are conservative. Do those people want sick people to die? No. That there are maybe some different ways of how to get there or what these solutions are to the problems that we have. But I will also say that if you are a person who is concerned about spending, then don't let people tell you that doesn't mean you're a compassionate person, because having these concerns means you're concerned about passing this burden on to future generations. And having that concern is thinking about other people, which is by nature compassionate. And just in general, I think assuming the worst intentions in others doesn't heal anyone.
Yeah, and probably coming with some policy positions rather than accusations of people dying or being cruel is a better bet for the Democrats.
Real quick, if you're worried about hospitals being overburdened and people losing Medicare, where do you think the 8 to 10 million people Joe Biden let in this country, where do you think they get their health care?
Okay.
Where do you think they
Wait, guys, I got to break in here.
Medicaid is not given to undocumented.
The president has arrived at Joint Base Andrews. He is outside of Air Force One.
All right. Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke, he says, all right, he mentioned somebody's name, and he said, noted, calm down, be happy. We are not controlled by the deep state and puppet presidents. Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke. God bless you for the super chat. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Here we go.
What if he said he was running, Joey?
Well, number one, Democrats would probably elect him right now, considering what they've been left with. I mean, they went back to him the last time and it worked. Listen, I just want to know how much he made for that speech, because we know the Obamas and even Hillary were making 6 figures to go give dumb speeches after the fact. I want to know, is he making what, 20 grand? Maybe 25?
How much does he make? He's probably making a ton. And you know what? I would say I'm a better speaker than he is. And that's not even really complimenting myself that much.
I do think that's true. Yes.
Katie, do you think that world leaders, he says they're reaching out to him for advice. Do you think that that's true?
I read this and actually laughed out loud. I was at NATO following the president in the press pool. There is no way that anybody of significance is calling Joe Biden the guy who Russia invaded Ukraine under. Everybody at NATO was trying to get meetings with President Trump. They came away with a 5% commitment after barely paying their dues during Trump's first term. They were excited about America being back on the world stage, not having to, follow the president around, make sure he wasn't getting lost. They were Trump was in the middle. He was front and center. He was running the meetings. They were respecting him. They were happy that America was back. And they were happy that the president saved the alliance, which is exactly what he did. Nobody is calling Joe Biden for advice about world affairs, which completely fell apart on every single level under his watch.
Yeah. Paul, so he said he was very upset about his accomplishments being undone. My question is, do you think it's fair, or how much of it do you think is fair to even call his accomplishments, given what we know now and what for many of us suspected for quite some time about his lack of involvement in his own administration?
Yeah, I mean, if his legacy was really being undone, there would be 12 million fewer people in this country right now, okay? Because that's really his legacy. The fact that we evaporated the southern border and now we have all these problems trying to figure out how to get these people out, including the worst ones. And of course, we're running into a judiciary that's completely adversarial. The other thing is this. I think, you never know here. Joe Biden may actually think he's talking to European leaders, right? He probably thinks he just talked to Winston Churchill or Napoleon or something. But the bottom line is, if you are asking us to believe that right now, with Russia at Europe's doorstep, to the point that they cratered to go 5% to Donald Trump, we couldn't even get them to 2%. That crew went to 5%. They're now calling Joe Biden to say, hey, help us out here with Vladimir Putin. I don't think so.
Yeah, Leslie, to me, the biggest part of his legacy, sadly for him, I think is the whole cover-up. I really do think of him not being as involved in his own administration as we were being gaslit over and over again, to being told we were wrong for seeing what we were seeing. What do you make of all of this?
I make of it that Joe Biden is living in all of your heads. I mean, I've moved on. I'm a progressive. I progress. I move forward. Well, no. What do you mean? Wait a minute. First of all, I'm going to help you with math. We have 11 million undocumented people approximately in the country. So how do we have 12 million come in? And the majority of the people that are here that have been here for years. 1, 2.
You believe that 11 million?
2. Come on. I'm sitting at a table with people I believe would consider themselves capitalists, that capitalism is good for the United States, and believe that a person deserves to earn a living. Why shouldn't I wouldn't begrudge Donald Trump for doing a speech. Why do you begrudge a former president, whether he's a great speaker or not? He was invited. He went. He's retired. He's making some money. What's wrong with that?
Because we were lied to and we were gaslit for years and years and years for noticing that this man was not doing well.
There's no administration that's lied to you.
Oh, come on. You don't need to talk to me about that. I have been quite consistent in my distrust of government. But you look at people who are now gaining a distrust of government who may not have had one before because the things they were seeing with their own eyes, they were being told weren't true and were being told they were bad people. Oh, he just has
there'll be no tax on Social Security. When there is tax on Social Security?
We had a man who was not making decisions. There were things being signed with an auto pen.
But you asked me, and I said no.
That is not coming out and saying she didn't notice anything wrong with Joe Biden. People can't move on because it's still happening.
People can't move on because
absolutely
no, people can't move on because if we're talking about, everybody's talking about that he went and he gave this speech. No, he has a right to earn a living.
How that happened, and we don't want to see happen again.
Do we want
move on.
everybody?
All right.
Do we want everybody
Happy
just to be locked up
birthday,
when they're
America.
seniors?
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube.
Oh
Trump's
my
had
God.
a historic.
Oh my goodness. Now Joe Biden's trying to make a
Got
living.
through the House is
That's
Speaker
just crazy.
Mike Johnson. Speaker Johnson, congratulations. Before we get to how you got this done, the political criticism of the bill, and I know you're hearing this, is that voters won't feel the tax cuts because that's an extension of what they're already accustomed to, but they will feel the Medicaid and the food stamp cuts. You would say what to that?
No, I would say that's nonsense. What we are basically enacted in this agenda what we did in the first 2 years of the Trump administration, but this time we did it on steroids. You remember, after that first 2 years, we brought about the greatest economy in the history of the world because we cut taxes and cut regulations. We did that again, we extended it, but we added all sorts of other features, pro-growth policies to really have jet fuel to the U.S. economy. And everyone will be experiencing that before the midterms, Raymond. That's what's so important.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I have to get to this. President Trump just posted about you on Truth Social moments ago. You ready? He has great strength and wisdom and will go down as one of the most successful speakers in the House history, maybe even the best of them all. Thank you, Mike. Okay, tell me, who was the hardest to convince to support this bill, Mr. Speaker? And tell me about what the press described as the conga line running through the Oval Office. How important was the president and the VP's efforts here?
Well, let me just say first, we have the commander-in-chief who is truly in command. He has brought America back. It is peace through strength, and he exerts that strength in every way he can to help advance the agenda and advance the best interests of the American people. And that certainly extended to what happened in the Congress. I mean, he was directly engaged, involved. He knows the issues. He called me multiple times through the process over the last several days and said, put me on the phone with anybody you need. He also brought in small groups of members, that conga line, to the White House and visited with them, and that was very effective. So he's one of the greatest advocates, and it's been a great partnership to work. And it's what a unique thing, and what a special thing it is to have unified government, where you have Republicans in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House. We're using it effectively, and we're going to deliver for the American people, Raymond.
Who particularly, is there anybody you had to call in the big dog to help push over the edge?
The big dog.
Well, you know, I had several subgroups of members who were concerned about different things. You know, we have a very diverse caucus. They're all conservative Republicans, but they come from all over the country, and they represent very different districts. So different issues were of bigger interest, more or less different people. So it's a long, deliberative process. Look, I know all these members so well. I love each of them. I know what they bring to the table. And the idea is to get the most conservative product we can that helps the most American people. We achieved that here, and we're really proud of everything that's in this bill.
I know members of that Freedom Caucus were very concerned that this would balloon the debt. They were looking for more cuts. What promises did you make to them, and when might those cuts become apparent? Will that be done in subsequent legislation and rescission? When would you do that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's important to point out, not only would it have the biggest tax cut in U.S. history that we just voted on today and enacted into law, we also had the largest savings that's ever been achieved by Congress in its history, $1.6 trillion. Now, is that enough? No, it doesn't satisfy the Freedom Caucus or me. We're all conservatives in this, and we understand we got to get America back on the right fiscal trajectory. So this is the first of a 5-step process to get us back to fiscal stability. The reconciliation bill today was a big, giant leap forward, but we're going to do this again. We're going to have a second reconciliation package in the fall and a third one in the spring of next year for the next 2 fiscal years. And we're going to have rescissions packages. The White House is sending us collections of items to claw back the spending that was wasted in fraud, waste, and abuse, and we're going to appropriate at lower levels. The Republican Party is the party to get us back to fiscal responsibility. We can't do it overnight, though, Raymond. It took us a while to get in this situation, but we are on the right track, and the president is committed to it as well.
Mr. Speaker, Joe Biden turned out today. He tweeted his response to the passage of the bill. He called it reckless and cruel. It closes rural hospitals and cuts food assistance for our veterans and seniors. It jacks up energy bills, and it could trigger deep cuts to Medicaid, or Medicare rather, while driving up the deficit by $4 trillion. All of this to give a massive tax breaks to billionaires. Working people deserve better, the former president said. Your response, Mr. Speaker?
those talking points are older and tireder than Joe Biden himself. None of us believe he actually wrote that. Some staffer did, but they're using talking points distributed by the DNC, the Democratic Party, and they're blatantly false. We can demonstrate that this bill is going to be better for everyone. What we did in Medicaid is strengthen the program, strengthen that safety net so that it is available for the people that need it most, and that's the disabled, the elderly, young pregnant women, for example. We're going to make young, able-bodied men who are able to work. We put work requirements in. That is going to eliminate a lot of the abuse in the program, and it's going to preserve those things for the people that really actually need it. Work requirements, by the way, Raymond, is about an 87% issue in public opinion polling because everybody understands that's common sense.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're lifting the tax burden on overtime, on car payments, on tips, that is a huge relief for working people. I mean, those are the really working people of America and the backbone of the country. Mr. Speaker, before I let you go, there were those doomsayers just a week ago who said, you know, Speaker Johnson will never be able to pull this thing off. This could be the end of his ride. How are you feeling tonight?
Well, they've written my eulogy about 10 times, but I say ye of little faith. Sometimes it's good to be underestimated, Raymond, but we're going to continue to deliver. This team's united. The Republican Party is on a roll, and President Trump is winning every time he turns around. There's more of that to come.
Did Hakeem Jeffries do anything today? What was that about, that 8.5-hour intermission?
He embarrassed his party, frankly, and they really don't have anything to run on. They have nothing to argue. There's no principle, policy, or platform they can stand on right now, and they don't have a leader. It was performance art. And what Republicans are doing is delivering results, not performances. I think the contrast was clear for the American people, and we're delighted to have that on the world stage.
Mr. Speaker, happy Independence.
That's just crazy for Hakeem to speak for almost 9 hours, and yet the bill still passed. That's just wild. Wasted everybody's time. Like, what are you trying to achieve? Oh, I want it on the record. Some people are calling him Tamil Obama. Tamil Obama, ladies and gentlemen. What in the world is going on?
6 months. But when he takes the stage tonight, we're going to learn what's coming next. Joining me now is Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Governor, it's so great to see you tonight. Thanks for joining us. You know, it's really amazing to stop and think about this. It was 10 years ago this month that Donald Trump went out to Iowa. And if you remember, he offered to take kids up in his helicopter. And the Iowa State Fair was so outraged about it, they told him he couldn't do it. So he went and rented a cornfield across the street and started taking kids up for free in his helicopter anyway. And to think about the arc of where he's been, and you've been on the inside of the administration, and now you're serving as a governor.
Trump is such an OG, man.
It's like some sort of mythical story or something.
You know, Donald Trump's gotten more done in the last 24 hours than Joe Biden did in 4 years.
And that's true.
He's moving at an insane speed. And I kind of love that all of the critics and all of the Democrats keep telling Donald Trump what he can't do and how bad things are going to get, because I think it only motivates him to beat every expectation and double down in a way that only he can. Nobody else could have gotten this bill passed. Nobody else could have put as much into it to help and change America other than Donald Trump, and nobody could get it signed with the flair and fireworks that he will do so tomorrow. He's a one of one, and it is absolutely incredible to watch what he is doing, the way he is leading, and frankly, the way he's changing America for the better. And what an incredible ride that he has had since that first big foray, and to your point, taking kids on helicopter rides 10 years ago. Now he's literally taking every kid in America up by the policies that he's been implementing over the last 6 months.
When you look at what he is, the imprint he's left on, obviously, as you point out, on America, but also in politics in terms of what he's done to Washington, what he's done to the Republican Party, what do you think is the most important thing Donald Trump taught Republicans?
I think it's to not back down. It's to not be afraid to take on big challenges. Donald Trump has taken on every major institution every major problem, whether it's higher education, securing the border, fighting for better trade deals, bringing about stability in the Middle East. This is a president who isn't afraid to take on big things, and he wins. He delivers. He doesn't just talk about it. The Democrats are really good at talking about things. Donald Trump is actually delivering on things that no one said was possible. And so I think one of the biggest things that he has taught, not just the party, but the country, is not to be afraid to take on a challenge, face it head on, double down, and he's been delivering ever since.
And of course, he stole all of the most popular issues from Democrats that made sense. He stole them and made them his own. And not to rain on the celebration right now, but I do have, honestly, I find myself wondering about this. Like, where does the Republican Party go from here? Do you ever worry that when Trump is gone, all the excitement, all of the everything that he has brought to the table just vanishes?
It certainly, I think, without Donald Trump and the influence and the microphone and the enthusiasm and the excitement that he has brought to the party, I'm not sure anybody else can ever do or replicate what he's done. But he has brought together, I think, such a movement that doesn't go away. And he's ignited and started something that is really incredible. And
Yes, that is something that I think about sometimes when he's done with his time here doing his own, movement, golden age, make America great again. When it's done, I know Marco Rubio, who else? Ron DeSantis, J.D. Vance, those guys, they got good energy. It's just who can live up to this legacy. It's going to be hard. It is definitely going to be hard.
Love and desire to see America win again, and that's something that only he could have done, and it's inspired people, I think, all over the country, and an enthusiasm that I think will carry on for a long time, but nobody else could have done that or brought that type of excitement and energy to the country other than Donald Trump.
And it's kind of amazing to look at how many of the people that he has brought into that coalition were once fierce enemies of his or fierce opponents and didn't like him very much. But not only did he win them over, but he convinced them of the America First movement and set them forth. And it's remarkable also to look at how many people he has, whose careers he helped start, who are, I think, are yourself included, have this extraordinary future, and you've got the principles and those America First principles that I think are going to be popular for forever.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be sitting in the spot I am and wouldn't be governor of Arkansas if Donald Trump hadn't taken a chance on me, had confidence in me. And there are dozens, if not hundreds of other people that are part of this movement that he has done that with. And, you see the change that he's made and the way that he has reshaped our party and brought so many new voices and faces, and it's a great thing to see, and we're excited to see Donald Trump. I just don't know what he's going to do for the next 3 years because he's gotten so much done so fast.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Former White House press secretary and current governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee.
Can you imagine how, look, Trump is the godfather of the Republican Party at this point. He is. Everybody's saying good things about him. He's making leaders. And that's how you know a great leader. You make other great leaders. That's how you lead. All right, here we go. New York.
Right now, the drama continuing on the House floor. Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has been using his hour long, and we'll bring you the news as it happens. First, we are getting an idea of how New York City Democratic mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani, who also self-identifies as a Democratic socialist, may address the Big Apple's affordability crisis. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, and joining us today, Carly Shimkus, Fox & Friends' first co-host, Lydia Hu, Fox Business correspondent, Kaylee McGee-White, Fox News contributor, and Charlie Hurt, Fox and Friends Weekend co-host. Now, resurfaced video from 2021 shows the socialist candidate pushing to limit private housing and increase public communal housing. Watch.
Why do so many people end up homeless? It's not because there aren't enough homes to go around. There are plenty of empty homes. No, it's because housing people is not the primary goal of developers or landlords. Their goal, simply put, is to make a profit. If we want to end the housing crisis, the solution has to be moving toward the full decommodification of housing. In other words, moving away from the status quo, in which most people access housing by purchasing it on the market, and toward a future where we guarantee high-quality housing to all as a human right.
But history shows that public housing has been plagued by chronic underfunding, leading to major problems in both big and small cities across the country. From New York City and Chicago to Boston and Pittsburgh, horror stories of problems inside public housing units capture just how bad some of the conditions are. Cancer-causing chemicals, mold and neglect, infested with mice, rats, roaches, and toxic mold. Those are just a few. President Trump, vowing to act as a safeguard against some of Mamdani's more radical proposals, wrote this on Truth Social, quote, "I'm not going to let this communist lunatic destroy New York. Rest assured, I hold all the levers and have all the cards. I'll save New York City and make it hot and great again, just like I did with the good old USA." Charlie Hurt, lots to unpack, and I see you delighted by his Truth Social post.
Yeah, no, Trump has a great way of putting it. You know, the thing I love about Mamdani is that what this is more than anything else is a complete rejection of Democrat policies and Democrat control. Democrats have run New York City for decades. These are all Democrat policies, and they have all failed. And the idea that now they're going to turn to more cowbell because socialism light wasn't enough, so they're going to go full communism, it's not going to work out well. If you think that the subways are bad, wait until you have the city-run grocery stores. And if you think city-run grocery stores are bad, wait until you have forced public housing for everyone. It's going to be a catastrophe. And I pray New York pulls back from the ledge.
And it's so rich, Carly, no pun intended, coming from the guy that lives in a $3 million Chelsea apartment. Yeah, is he going to move to public housing too then?
And that's probably what he believes when he believes, because you have to be affluent to have the privilege to say the things that he does. And I recently interviewed last week Republican Assemblyman Matt Slater, who serves with Mamdani right now. And he said that Mamdani once joked with him saying, "We are both red, just different shades," meaning you're a Republican and I'm a communist. That was Matt Slater's actual interpretation of the joke, which I think should be an article written in a major focus in and of itself. So Zoran Mamdani is not hiding who he is and what he believes in. He was just asked, what do you think of capitalism? And he said, I don't like it. And he wants to be the mayor of the largest financial center in the world. The Wall Street Journal recently described him saying that Zoran Mamdani is the living embodiment of the summer of 2020, which I think is a totally accurate description. And it's also why I'm not bullish on his ascension to power, because I think that most people and most Democrats are over that. And the proof is that Donald Trump gained 95,000 votes in New York City this past election, and Democrats lost 500,000. So I think the only way Mamdani wins is if the other candidates split the vote, which is why Andrew Cuomo needs to get out of the race and why Bill Ackman just endorsed Mayor Eric Adams. So Zoran Mamdani may have the vocal, young, energized, white portion of the Democrat Party, but it's now Mayor Eric Adams' job to keep it in the minority.
Yeah. All right, Lydia, so strategy aside for a moment, anti-Semitism aside for a moment of this candidate, talk to us about the economic disastrous potential to the city even more, because we haven't recovered from COVID. Midtown's still empty.
Still empty. People are still leaving. You know, one thing that I think is so appalling is that Zoran Mamdani knows about the quality and the condition of public housing in New York City, being an assemblyman that represented a portion of Queens for several years. I formerly was a reporter, a local news reporter here in the city. So I've had the opportunity to do a lot of stories focused on public housing, having visited residents there to talk to them about the dire and disgusting and frankly, sometimes unlivable conditions of some of these buildings. You're talking about infestation. You're talking about mold, lack of ventilation, claims that they're being made sick from living there. And then on top of that, there's just recently a huge investigation by the DOJ that unveiled years of fraud and corruption where people that were working at the public housing developments were taking millions of dollars of bribes. Even after this was uncovered, what did the public housing...
Shout out to the GOAT, Dr. Luke. He says, Alex Jones needs Secret Service protection and access to classified document. I am voting for Alex Jones next. I am serious. Uh-oh. Dr. Luke, the GOAT, wants Alex Jones to have Secret Service protection and also access to classified document. I mean, Alex Jones has had a history of doing thorough research. And, you know, when you are at that level, you have high level enemies. So, you know, he definitely do need some protection. Now, if he wants to go for like a political position, then he would have to do a campaign. And if the people love him, which he has a lot of supporters, then he's going to win. Shout out to the GOAT. Here we go.
do after folks admitted to this, they went back to the same contractors and allowed them to continue to work with these same folks. So if you are for unlivable conditions, if you are for unhealthy apartments, if you're for fraud and corruption, then yeah, maybe Mamdani's plans for public housing and commune living sound great. But I would be concerned if you're worried about how, housing, how we're going to get out of this affordability crisis across the country. Mamdani's, plan might be something you should take note of because that's what the Democrats are going to be pushing now.
Yeah, and so Kayleigh, talk to us about that. So the breakdown, really the minority communities, the underserved, the lower income communities here did not vote for him at all, right? He got the rich, white, Upper East Side vote. But how does this bode for the Democratic Party moving forward? What are they going to do with this socialist wing? And I have to admit, guys, when I saw the president's Truth Social post, I was like, oh, thank God. I mean, as a New Yorker, I was like, yes, thank you. Please, someone, we need a Batman to prevent this.
He is going to make New York hot again. It's interesting. Democrats are really embracing Zohran Mamdani, endorsing him in the general, which is quite shocking. And I think they're doing so because he was able to tap into the young adults vote. They know that is a demographic that they are struggling with, and they want to be able to tap into that. And unfortunately, Mamdani's plan for public housing, this is a great example of the larger progressive delusion that true socialism will work. It just hasn't been tried before. But that's exactly the kind of message that young adults fell for. And the reason why is pretty simple. Young adults are struggling economically. And they are being persuaded by quick fixes and temporary solutions that actually do nothing to address the long-term crisis they're facing. It's just a fact that Gen Z adults my age are struggling to break into the housing market, for example. There was a recent article that found that the new first-time average home buyer is about 56 years old. Back in the 80s, it was 26 years old. There are massive barriers to entry for Gen Z adults, and very few political leaders on either side of the aisle are talking about those issues, let alone proposing solutions to them. And in the absence of that, they are going to be persuaded by people like Zohran Mamdani, who are at least willing to listen to and engage with the issues that young adults are facing. And so I think Peter Thiel actually put it pretty well. He was talking about why so many young adults are being persuaded by socialism. And he said that if you don't have any investment in the capitalist system, you're more likely to turn against it in the first place. That is something that both political parties are going to have to wrestle.
And that's true. That's true. Some people don't like capitalism, and it's like, why don't you like it? Well, you don't have to invest in the stock market. You don't have to buy a home. You don't have to. Yeah, so those are the people that would vote for this Mamdani guy. But I doubt he's going to make it to the mayor position in New York, because the mayor in New York has high level power, like high level power.
With.
Hey.
All right, Maha, Make America
the Make
Healthy
America
Again.
Healthy Again movement scoring another win after Hershey announces it will remove artificial dyes from its U.S. food supply by the end of 2027. It is joining a growing list of companies doing so.
Like, what else do you guys want? The Trump administration, they've been working around the clock to get wins for real, live Americans. These right here has been a huge factor for Americans on healthy situations, okay? Now, RFK is working hard as it can to make sure there's healthy ingredient in this snacks and food that we eat. This is a win for every single American. So even if you don't like Trump, I mean, you can still say some good things about the people working with him.
Like Kraft Heinz, General Mills, and Nestle, just to name a few. But as traction builds with major corporations, the MAHA movement is also gaining momentum among teenagers. Enter the crunchy teen, wellness influencers, health-conscious high schoolers who are looking to appeal to their peers with food advice videos on social media. But there is concern among some health professionals that teens could take this trend too far. One doctor told the New York Times that some teens are restricting their portions and over-prioritizing certain nutrients like protein. She worries that this may lead to, quote, a lot of medical complications and consequences, not just weight loss, but vitamin deficiencies. So, Charlie, point taken by the good doctor there. But I think it is so infrequently that a trend among teenagers is overwhelmingly positive, and this does appear to be that.
Such a great point. And it is totally positive. And it's funny because this whole thing used to be kind of among left-wing hippie commune types. And now it's gone completely bipartisan. It's all over the place. I know, my kids are all kind of pretty conservative, and they're crazy about like health food and eating healthy, and they recognize like what's in. They read packages in a way I never did when I was growing. It was like, it's beef jerky, I'll eat it. It's barbecue Fritos, I'll eat it. Right? I don't care. But they'll like read the ingredients and pay attention to that stuff. And what I also love about it is that it's not, these are not mandates. This is all about education and information. And when you have like the MAHA movement meet the MAGA movement, you just kind of have an explosion of great information that is obviously, it's so apparently and obviously helpful to actually pay attention to.
Yeah, and I wonder if we get to a point where people in 20 years watch a movie, Emily, and they see somebody eating M&Ms or Skittles or whatever with some very colorful dye, and they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe anybody ever put that in their body. And RFK Jr. says that there are 1,000 ingredients in our foods that are illegal in Europe, and he's on a mission to get synthetic petroleum-based dyes that cause cancer out of our foods. I mean, what more bipartisan issue can you think of than that?
Right, exactly. The systemic rot that has taken root in our system with the sort of, opiate public receiving it and just eating blindly is really terrifying, because I think what we're seeing, that the incredible explosion of diabetes and chemically related diseases that have infected our population, mixed with a pharmaceutical industry and an insurance industry that doesn't believe in optimizing health and wellness before the switch is flipped and someone all of a sudden has a diagnosis. Like, all of that has been one big festering tumor. So I'm glad that we are attacking all of it. And then back to the teens for a second with that. I caution only that when you mix it with social media, you get the sort of dopamine soundbite. Do I really know what I'm talking about? So just to remind our kids that when they're looking at something like that, there's a whole host of education behind it, actual education. And so to sort of cross-check the 30-second TikTok from the Costco aisle with actual information.
Do the research. That's so true. And Lydia, how often have you looked at the back of a label of something that you're giving your child and you go, why does this expire in 2027? And you look at it, it's a fruit smoothie and there's absolutely zero nutritional value to it. So it almost feels like this is something that we should have been focusing on for a long time.
It's so funny you mentioned the expiration dates, because I was just at a family member's house. I won't out the family member, but I did start going through the cabinet. I was looking at some of the expiration dates and saying, wow, some of this stuff doesn't expire to a really far out.
Yes.
How can it stay so good for so long? And should we be eating it? We had that exact same conversation. I want to echo Emily's point, which is, I think all the information that's being circulated today is so positive and so healthy for the good dialogue and good conversation. administration, but I am very skeptical about the social media trends because the algorithms are agnostic in the sense that they don't care what they're pumping out. They'll pump out anything that is catching eyeballs. And for young girls in particular, just to be really skeptical about what it is that they're feeding to you in terms of like the social media content, what they're putting in front of you and why. It's not to really educate you. They just want to make sure that you're watching and not leaving them.
Yeah, and I love that girl's video that we played. I will forever eat Skinny Pop, though. That's not going away with me. And yeah, and Kayleigh, I also like that companies are jumping on board. The fact that it's taking to 2027 to get some of these dyes out of foods is unfortunate. But I think one of the reasons, it's always easier for a company to comply with the current administration, but I also feel like this is driven by consumer demand as well.
Well, and now among Gen Z. I love Crunchy Gen Z. I had every intention of being a Crunchy Gen Zer myself. And then I got pregnant, and my entire first trimester was sponsored by Sour Gummy Worms. But don't worry, once this child is out, it is over for you guys. I am absolutely hopping on board the granola train. I think my solution to this, however, is everything in moderation. Like, there are certain MAHA trends that I'm not going to get on board with. I'm not going to do beef tallow for skincare or take a million supplements. I have a difficult time enough with my prenatals. But there are absolutely things like prioritizing whole foods, cooking for yourself, daily exercise, that the MAHA movement is emphasizing among young adults. Those are all things that we can get behind. And as Charlie mentioned, it's now becoming a real bipartisan issue for not just younger generations, but for many moms, for many older Americans as well.
Yeah, and you look beautiful, so I'm going to have to hop on board the Sour Gummy Worm train so I can look like you.
Hey, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the live show. God is the greatest. America is the greatest nation on the face of the earth. Look, it doesn't matter if you are a Republican, a Democrat, or progressive, liberal, conservative, independent. It doesn't matter, okay? What matters is you love the United States. Happy 4th to every single person. It is currently 5:12 a.m. And of course, today's date is the 4th of July, 2025. Happy Independence Day, America. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. And believe in Almighty God. Ellen, I'm sorry to hear that. Shout out to the esteemed members of the GOAT. Dr. Luke, God bless you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for being an esteemed member. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Sandra. Shout out to Ringmaster. Shout out to Ingram. And of course, shout out to the hardworking moderators, the MVP Jet. God bless you for being here. Shout out to the awesome C. Shelley. God bless you, C. Shelley. The bucket master, Mr. Busky, he's not here right now. I guess he's serving bucket for Independence Day. Who else? A lot of moderators. But I got to say a big shout out to everybody for being here. If you're viewing, God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. We love America. That's why we do this. We believe in this beautiful country. That's why we do this. So, of course, it's early. A lot of y'all could be in bed right now, but you're watching this. So I am absolutely grateful. God is the greatest. America is the greatest nation. So with that being said, fathers, take care of your kids. Mothers have been doing a great job for years. So fathers, spend some quality time with your kids. Shout out to the law enforcement officers. Shout out to federal agent Ice Baby. Thank you for doing your duty. Shout out to the military and the veterans. Without you guys, there would be no homeland. So thank you so much. Thank you for your service. And everybody, go outside, man. July 4th, when you get up in the morning, this morning, or whenever you get up, just go outside, breathe in the fresh air. Say thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day and this beautiful country that I've come to find myself. If you were born here, just say, thank you, Lord, for giving me the greatest opportunity to be born in the greatest nation on the face of the earth, and do something nice for somebody today. Okay? Go out, have a good time, enjoy yourself. It's a holiday, okay? Right? Yeah. So enjoy yourself, all right? Enjoy yourself. Don't be all doom and gloom and bad news and being a pessimist today. for once, just today, enjoy yourself, okay? Kiss your kids, kiss your spouse, hug your kids, hug your spouse, and enjoy yourself, okay? Life is not perfect. Life would never be perfect. That's something everybody got to understand. You have to understand that in this world that we find ourselves, this world would never be perfect. You would never find a perfect person. You could never even find a perfect pet, okay? So just take each day as it comes. Everybody's going through something crazy, grief, mental issues, financial issues, family issues, health issues. Everybody has something that they're going through. So just be grateful for yourself, be grateful for your family, and enjoy whatever you have. It doesn't matter if it's small or big, just enjoy whatever you have, okay? Life is so delicate, and then we waste so much time hoping and wishing for a better tomorrow, hoping and wishing for better things. Why don't you just enjoy today? Because tomorrow is not guaranteed. With that being said, God bless you. Shout out to the esteemed members one more time. Dr. Luke, the GOAT, God bless you. Ellie, I was about to say C. Shelley. Okay, C. Shelley. Okay, C. Shelley. Thank you to C. Shelley as well. And shout out to, of course, the MVP, Jet, Ingram, Ellie, Ringmaster, Sandra, and of course, the GOAT, Dr. Luke. God bless you guys. And everybody else who tuned in, God bless you. God is the greatest. Enjoy yourself, okay? Don't sit in front of MSDNC all day and then what do you get out of it? Doom and gloom, okay? But you can come back later on, turn on your notification bell, and come back to the Genesis show because it's all high energy, optimism, great energy, and just positive vibes out here. Okay, we promote unity. Okay, it's all unity right here. Positive energy, America first. And you know what time it is? It is your boy Genesis. Welcome to the Genesis show.